Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Here's my review of Sony's Morbius, and it mainly serves as a standalone entry for the living vampire. It's a pretty decent entry, guys, as an origin story. We've all heard the Twitter noise, and there's enough out there to put everybody off from going to see the film. But is it worth going to see? That's what we're here to talk about. Let's get to it. Now, I would definitely say yes, it's worth going to see it, for many reasons. Take away the fact that this is actually connected to the Sony Spider-Verse, which I've got a lot of investment in, and I'm actually starting to enjoy it a little bit more than the Marvel Universe, because the big Thanos story is already gone, and I'm sitting back here thinking, well, what have I really got to look forward to after Doctor Strange 2? Yes, Ant-Man 3 is going to have Kang in it, and we know there's going to be other films as well, but I'm not really excited for them as I was previously. Thor is going to really be about Jane Foster. Yeah. Black Panther 2 is not really going to have Chadwick Boseman in it because he's passed away. So am I really as excited for it as I was before? Not really. So I am more excited for what's going on, especially after Spider-Man 3, with the three Spider-Men meeting each other and the plans moving forward for what we're going to see with them, plus Miles Morales and Andrew Garfield. So I'm actually more excited at this current time for what Sony are doing instead of Disney and Marvel Studios. Yeah, I know, that might sound shocking to a couple of you guys, but I was one of the fans that did not want Tom Holland to go back into the MCU. I wanted him to be in his own Sonyverse front and center rather than being an MCU sidekick. I was never a fan of that in the first place. So for me, guys, this film is very watchable. The first half an hour is as good as you'd want in a film like this. The setting and the backstory is filled with tons of solid exposition. Dr. Michael Morbius must kill his best friend, Milo, of his own creation, as no other methods will actually work. Crosses, holy water, sunlight have no effect on the likes of Morbius and Milo, since they're living vampires and not the supernatural undead. So think of it a little bit as in Blade, but you know, Blade is called a Daywalker, he's a living vampire. So that's the reason why they have to do it this way, and these two are an anomaly. Also, just to point out that the Dracula franchise belongs to Marvel Studios and the MCU, not Sony. Just wanted to be clear on that. So we're not really going to see Dracula here. Also, Martine took a drop of Michael's blood in the film, meaning she's also now a vampire. She also became a vampire in the Marvel comics, so any sequel will likely have to explore her character's transformation from a doctor who saves lives into someone who's now craving blood or fighting the ability to. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, shall we? Because, you know, let's not waste any time here. So yes, Spider-Man exists in this universe. The universe that Morbius inhabits, and Venom too. Venom also got a name drop because he's in the same universe as well. So which Spider-Man is this? Let's do some homework here. Well, it's not Tobey Maguire because Tobey already said that he had an encounter with Venom on his universe. It's also not Tom Holland because they just left Tom Holland's universe to go back to their own during Doctor Strange's spell. So that, by process of elimination, means it's Andrew Garfield or, wait for it, or Miles Morales. Electro did say during their conversation that there's got to be a black Spider-Man out there somewhere. By my understanding, it's Andrew Garfield. Because that's the one that fans want, and that's the one that Sony's all about making money now, guys. And Spider-Man No Way Home is the fourth highest grossing film of all time. And they want into that kitty. And the only way to give the fans what they want is to give them an Andrew Garfield movie. That's also what the Amazing Spider-Man 2 ending teased with the Sinister Six as well. So, Morbius remains a fugitive, accused of murders that Milo actually committed. Which didn't make sense to me because the FBI had already seen proof on CCTV that Milo was the one that was doing the killing. But that was never really explained. In fact, in Act 3, we totally forgot about Tyrese and the FBI, making me wonder if we really needed them in the first place throughout the whole film. The biggest problem is the film and those trailers. We saw these trailers and they had nothing to do with the movie. And Sony just created this Spider-Man Scorpion narrative to just pull fans into the movies. and it didn't really need that. The film actually stands well by itself. But some are going to be upset because the whole marketing was a lie. Guys, Sony controls the screen rights to Spider-Man and 900 other characters, and Spidey has only been a part of the MCU thanks to a very complex sharing deal struck between Sony Pictures and Disney-owned Marvel Studios. In this movie, Sony pisses all over what Kevin Feige created with the Vulture and Adrian Toomes, and have basically taken their villain back by using a very unorthodox method that put them there in the first place. During the end of the credit scene of Spider-Man No Way Home, when Doctor Strange restored the three Spideys and the villains plus Eddie Brock and Venom to their own respective universes, that was supposed to be all it was about. But then we cut to a New York prison at the end of the Morbius movie where Toomes, aka the Vulture, materializes inside a cell, and Toomes reacts to this knowing what's happened. Remember, he knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man, and the spell would have affected his knowledge of this. So now he knows that Spider-Man saved his life, but he doesn't know it was Peter. Despite the world-cracking laws of just what happened, Toomes seems to immediately understand it. He even says, "I hope the food is better in this joint," which makes no sense. Nobody really knew where they were. I mean, maybe Tobey Maguire did, because he was looking for the other Peters when they found him. He wasn't surprised. So Toomes has that kind of same sensibility here. The biggest issue I have with the film is that it just doesn't make any sense that Vulture, using the Stark Chitauri tech, also follows him to the universe. So there's none of that Stark tech there, and the Chitauri did not invade the planet on this Earth. So how on earth did this suit follow him back to this universe? It doesn't make any sense. The only explanation I have is the suit had been taken away from him and put in a prison, and it makes it through the spell too. So the suit, which isn't sentient, also follows him back to this universe. It's bonkers, mate. Guys, it just doesn't make... We can try and rationalize it, but it just doesn't make any sense. So then, with that being said, there's a TV newscast about his appearance. This mysterious prisoner, Adrian Toomes, and that there's no record of his existence. Meaning that they have to release Toomes, because why is he in the prison? They have to release him. But this gets even stranger, guys. Michael Morbius, in the post-credit scene, is seen driving a Porsche Taycan electric car around the coast to meet the Vulture in his suit. And he tells Morbius that he read up on him since arriving to the universe. So he's doing his research. He's read about Morbius. He's read about Venom. He's read about Spider-Man. And he confirms that there is a Spider-Man there. So that's why we kind of know. And that they should team up to do some good? Some good? Okay, so we'll move on. We'll talk about that in a minute, but we'll move on. Even more bonkers is Morbius' response to say the offer is interesting. Huh? Okay, so what doesn't make any sense is when he says do some good. So let's break that down a little. Both are supposed to be villains in the Sinister Six. But from what we've seen previously, Toomes respects Spider-Man because he saved his life. He even stuck up for him in jail when he was speaking to Scorpion. And Morbius isn't a villain. In this film, it actually shows that he may be an anti-villain or just a hero. First of all, he saved everybody. He saved them from Milo. And at worst case, he's an anti-villain, but by no means is he a villain. So it's really strange. And I'm really scratching my head about this. He's actually been trying to do good over the whole of this film. So the both of them becoming bad makes no sense at all. And it's not just that, but Martine, who isn't going to allow Morbius to turn bad because she was always that compass for him, that moral compass. And she will never allow him to turn bad. She's a doctor that wants to save lives too. I know she's going to be fighting bloodlust, but I hope to see that in a different movie. So overall, guys, the movie's decent. I'm not going to lie. But the Morbius post-credit scenes is what turns this upside down into... It loses a lot of marks here. And it's terribly bizarre. And it would be nice if someone just deleted them without any post-credit scenes at all. This is a pretty watchable movie, so kudos to all of you guys who left right at the end of the movie and didn't see the post-credit scenes, because you left thinking that this was a very entertaining film. The last plus and minuses I have, remember there's always a balance here guys, is the action scenes. I loved him learning about his abilities, the way how he was enveloping his body into what he could do. The CGI was outstanding for me. Some really nice levels of visual effects, especially on Matt Smith's facial expressions. Top class. From Morbius learning about how to use his radar. Man, the radar scene was so sweet. I could only wish that Matt Murdock's Daredevil would use this as his ability to be a blind man. It was almost like, you know, Neji from Naruto using his Byakugan, sensing the whole city 360 degrees. It just looked amazing. Also as well, when Morbius learns how to fly, feeling those wind currents, knowing what bats have to do in order to glide and float. I just thought all of that was so good in this movie. But the downside of the action was the PG-13 lack of blood. Oh Lord, here we go. This is a Marvel thing really. Doesn't matter whether it's Marvel Studios or Sony Marvel. You're all struggling with the same thing. And I'm going to talk about DC Comics, because DC Comics does not have that problem at all when it comes to blood. They are full out R-rated 18. Marvel, on the other hand, not so much. And this is a struggle we have with it. I thought it was silly, guys, in the same way as Venom 2, where you had Carnage slashing away throats, just like Michael Morbius did, wiping out neck bones with 0 splashes on the screen, no blood. It just looks stupid. I gotta say it. I gotta say it how it is. I mean, there's not even an ounce of blood anywhere, and it just does not make any sense. There's one shot where a guy gets cleanly slashed, and you're actually asking yourself a question: did he catch him or did he miss him? You know, did he catch the neck or did he just miss the swipe? So here's looking at you, Blade, for the MCU. Good luck with that one, guys. Blade PG-13, I don't know how on earth that's going to work. A vampire film with no blood. I mean, we're going into the crazy times now we are with this Marvel franchise. I don't get it. But anyway, that's just me. Look, man, the Joker and Deadpool are proving that R-rated superhero films can be successful. I have no idea why these companies still try to force this stuff down our throat. But you know what? You know, it just needed more blood. But Sony and Marvel are so afraid of using blood that it just taints their optics. So guys, I'm going to give this one a solid 7.9 out of 10. Also, let me be clear. The Spider-Man poster we see in the trailer, the murder poster, the one that says murder Spider-Man, we all thought that this was because of Spider-Man killing Mysterio. But we were wrong. This poster had something to do with Andrew Garfield saying that he had some dark times when he was speaking to all 3 Spider-Men. Whether society blames him for Gwen Stacy's death, or whether he actually killed somebody because of Gwen Stacy's death, we don't really know that at this point. But my feeling is that poster is up there because of something that Andrew Garfield supposedly did or did not do. That's what my feeling is. So we know the Venom shares hive minds, and the Venom symbiote saying, oh yeah, this guy, when teleported to the MCU and sees a new story of Tom Holland's Peter Parker being Spider-Man. This could also meant that Spider-Man in Venom's universe was known to Venom too, and that Venom actually knew Andrew Garfield. So we can swing both ways on that one. Remember, Venom is West Coast in San Francisco. Morbius is in New York. That's the reason why Eddie Brock tells the bartender at the end of Spider-Man 3 to say, maybe I should go to New York and speak to this Spider-Man. So Eddie's trying to wrap his head around the whole idea of a Spider-Man existing. However, Venom already knew. So who would the Sinister Six be for me? I would have Leto's Morbius, Hardy's Venom, and Vulture. And don't forget, Jamie Foxx's Electro is there, and so is Rhino. That leaves space for one more. Well, Sony have a film called Kraven the Hunter. So for me, that would be my 6. And some of you might be wondering why some of the leaders are missing. You know, why is Dr. Octopus not there? Lizard, Hobgoblin, Sandman, Mysterio, Green Goblin serving as the leader. Well, in my opinion, that boat has already sailed in the movies for these villains. So why not work with some new ones? The good thing is, guys, the Sinister Six already have a history with the audience. They are familiar with them. So most of them already have a past with Spider-Man. So listen, that's all from me, guys. I really want to know your feedback on this, and I really want you to go and give this movie a try, because it's not a bad movie, guys. It's a decent movie, but it's just the ending really lets it down. That's it from me, guys. Peace. I'll speak to you in the next one.